911, what's the address of the emergency? This is 911, what's the address of the emergency?
Oh.
Yeah, your phone's breaking up. Can you hear me? I see on your Smart 911 profile, your address is 161 Hickory Road. Are you there? Don't hang up this thing. I'm trying to get a good location on you. I can't hear you at all. Is this Teresa Cooper? Okay, I'm seeing you're on the Bluegrass Parkway. Is that correct? Can you hear me? You can hear me. I'm not hearing you at all, but I'm showing you on the Bluegrass Parkway around the 60-mile marker, and I'm going to send somebody to that, or 60, between the 61 and 62. I'm going to send somebody to that direction if you can hear me. 217 Bluegrass Parkway between the 61 and 62-mile marker, 61 and 62. I just got a 911 call, weak cell signal, and the call dropped. I could hear someone that was trying to talk. The cell signal was too weak, and then the call dropped. Rebid, it does show between the 61 and 62, and they checked that area. From the Smart 911 profile, the caller has a dark gray Buick Century or a blue Kia Rio, dark gray Buick or a blue Kia, maybe one of those vehicles. I'm going to attempt to contact by text.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. First, I'd like to welcome our new members. We have Sharon Paredes and David Jackson. Call the roll.
Mitchell Burnett.
Here.
Bill Cannon.
Here.
Jerry Dodd.
Here.
David Jackson.
Here.
Sharon Paredes.
Here.
Buddy Wallace.
Here.
Raymond Yerby.
Here. Next item is approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. We have a regular meeting and a special meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Motion made and seconded that we approve the, we need to do these one at a time, but I assume we.
Both especially.
You want to do both of them at once?
See why not?
Motion made and seconded, we approve the minutes, April 21st, and regular meeting, May 5th, special board meeting. Any questions? Any questions? Please.
Burnett.
Yes.
Cannon.
Yes.
Dodd.
Yes.
Jackson.
Thanks.
Paredes. Wallace.
Yes.
Yerby.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is approval of bills. We have the bills that came in the packet, and we have bills that have since the packet.
I make a motion that we approve the bills and the bills since packet.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, we approve the bills, including the bills sent to the bank. Any discussion?
Are we, As we go through, since we're brand new, like there are many things on this I looked at. I had no idea why we were spending, what the money was on this, so, okay, so,
Ask any question.
and I'm not even sure how to, is it Legion oil? Legion oil? Yes, what, is that,
That's the diesel for all the
that's the
trucks.
diesel, okay. That's the
Which part of
diesel.
it?
Well, there's two sections,
They're all-
there's May and then since the packet, and then suspended, that was the,
Is
one of the
each one of
biggest
those
amount.
tickets
so-
that when the truck stops and gets oil, or is it for
Yes, those are individual
fuel tickets?
The wood grinding trucks have a fuel tank out there, so occasionally you'll see one that's really large. The one over here that's
Okay, yeah.
5884.
Yeah, I was looking at
That
that.
fills a fuel
Okay.
tank at the wood grinding facility.
There's a fuel tank. And that's in Jonesville, is that correct?
Industrial.
So then the next largest thing that I noticed, again, and I'm probably not gonna say it right, and I hate that, but the for sale.
For sale tire?
So that's just tires, just the different tires for all the different,
Yes. Where it says 821E, that is the big loader at the industrial park that runs the dust. And they had a couple of flats out there that had to be repaired. And we replaced one, they had a disposal one too, so the disposal fee was $150 of that $675.
okay, but the 4,000, that's that big truck.
8 truck tires, yes. 2 for the trailers. And then the service department keeps a couple of spares, so anytime they have to replace a flat, they'll keep a couple of spares on hand. So sometimes he has to go out on a call and change a flat.
Thank you. I just didn't know, so.
The other thing I'd say too is that once you get used to it, you can run back and forth between just those raw checks and then the way Mr. Lemons categorized his thing.
Right, because, yeah, there was a lot of things to look at. I was trying to wrap my brain around all the numbers. Those were my two questions on that. Figured out everything else.
Any more questions? Call the roll, please.
Burnett,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Irby.
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is administrative report. And turn it over to you, Chris.
Okay, and we'll start off with the wood grinding report. Albert?
Incoming wood, we had 617.90 tons. Incoming dust, we had 348.35 tons. For a total income of 966.25 tons. Outgoing, we had 1,213.97 tons. 9.67 East Yard cleaning. That it? Then I found another section in the floor that's starting to cave in. These are different pictures on the dusting. Starting to look like a nest.
Same spot or?
No, totally different spot.
Is it somewhere where you go pretty regular?
Yes.
Can you isolate it, put tape around it, not use it?
We can, but we're still gonna be running around it.
Do we?
This,
or do you think
we back our trucks in right here.
Right.
We gotta come in right here to load the trucks.
Do you think
on
it
the
would?
dust end.
Do you think it would work putting down that plate still?
It wouldn't hurt, yes, sir. It wouldn't hurt. If I had to, I could move one of the other steel plates over. I was just gonna let y'all know. Put it down another spot.
Do you have a steel plate?
Yes, we got
to
4
spare?
of them out there, and I really try not to use that spot as often. I rarely use it, so I can move one of those steel plates over to this spot. And I still leave 3, which is still plenty good enough to move the grinder if I have to, or run back and forth.
Okay.
But I was just gonna let y'all know that I found another spot.
That's what you need to do then, yeah, just switch one.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if y'all are aware, but the big grinder out there has a separate magnet that collects all of the nails that come out of the pallets and such. And this week, it's only been done a couple of times since we've had it, but this week Edward took the
Took
load.
the load to TRD, and $2,064 worth of nails recycled.
Really?
Yes.
The other time that it was done was not, I can't remember exactly, but right at $1,900 for the nails that come out of the pallets when they grind them up. So.
It takes a while to generate.
So is the house building,
This is a Georgia.
yeah, but is the building orange or is it yours?
Saturday.
But we have to,
He was
they're responsible for repairs.
It's a county.
I bet it's their building, I don't know.
Oh, it's on TV.
Who knows?
No funds.
I know there's been some questions about the cost analysis for wood grinding. I'm no auditor, but I have pulled together some numbers that include the employees that we have out there. And, we do have 4 full-time employees. Now that includes wages and all of the fringe benefits, their papers, their insurance, fuel for the grinder when it's used, and maintenance on the grinder for last year, industrial park expenses, utilities, maintenance. One thing that's been questioned is, do we have to get rid of the industrial waste? And from what I've found, I believe, yes, we do have to get rid of the industrial waste. And if so, we would either be trucking it to the landfill and paying $19.75 a ton, or we would be trucking it and selling it for, the average of $12.50, $14 a ton. So basically, your trucking costs are going to offset, because mileage-wise, you're going to the landfill to sell it, and you're going to some local areas here, Cedar Oil Works, Rhineco, they all use the absorber. So trucking expenses pretty much offset. Last year, receipts on sales of 14,049.54 tons. This is an estimated, it's not an exact cost, but in the neighborhood of $256,000. Contracted hauling fees, some of the industries that we provide open top containers, Fleetboard, Primeline, Jaybird. I was talking about the pallets. We do that at Reynolds, General Cable, Gooddo Halliburton. So we provide open top containers, and our guys drive, pick it up, come dump it, grind it, take it back. We don't charge a tipping fee, but we charge a hauling fee, and that's where that $61,500 comes in that we have charged those companies to haul that. So when you offset the tipping fee, $19.87 per ton, you have that total. $596,000 is your total gain for the year. When you take off the expenses, that's a gain of about $367,000 for last year. And if you remember, we had a budget shortfall of about $300,000 last year. So we kind of carried us.
Okay. Last year's when we bought the new grinder too.
Actually, we bought it the year before that.
Okay, that's not it.
2012, yeah, we bought it.
But it's paying for itself. Big time.
Pretty much, and like I said too, like you just mentioned, the nails, that's just an added bonus of $4,000 we've gotten off selling nails. So I believe it was 23,000 pounds of nails this time that took off. The black box at the bottom, that's just kind of an estimate where we run right now. They are running out of dust. They could sell more than we have. And we have other ventures where we could branch out and offer it to sell to more people. I know we've been discussing the prime line.
Will there increase?
Yeah, they're supposed to increase about 100%. Mr. Dalton?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. They'll increase 100%. Of course, that will be probably an immediate take second shift in there, and he moves beyond his current, say, that's 50 to 60 up to 100, you know, it will probably double. Now, I would say, based on my experience, not that I have experience with, you know, doing wood, but other manufacturing plants, it'll probably take 3 to 5 months to get up to a steady state, get people trained where he's got all those shit. But he may do it faster. He might be up to speed in 2 months. I'd be surprised, but I'd say it'd be more closely to 4 to 6, based on my experience. Of course, that's, you know, that's making trucks, making a lot of hardware. It might be different, just basic grinding, but it'll take him a while to get there. But it won't take him too long. He'll be there pretty quick.
you're gonna have to coach me up. Okay, so, yes, you have a building out of Jones
Yes.
Mill, and the industrial park, the people, the companies that are there, what companies are there, like?
There's Jaybird, there's MJB, I believe they're fixing to crank up,
No, just the ones that are there right now. What are the ones right now that you were basing this money off of?
Jaybird, Primeline. Also, part of that comes in from Flakeboard. We recycle their product.
They have a report that they gave last January that detailed it.
Okay.
And part of your question is there's two
This
there's two
is,
aspects to it. This is what I'll tell you is that out of Jones Mills,
Mhm.
the Solid Waste Authority bailed the
That
county
is
out
year
about 10
in last
years
year.
ago.
It gives you the totals.
So we got a
that I
space
base the
out there
numbers off of.
because they were going
Anybody
to
else want
take
one
all
of
the
these?
county equipment. So right, wrong, or different, we find ourselves with essentially a $600,000 lease out there. That's a 50-year lease.
Oh,
You know.
you have at least for 50 years?
Well, because it
Yeah.
took $600,000 to get, the way I understand it, just reading the newspapers. You know, I wasn't on the board then, but they were literally going to come in because our sheriff department had overspent. They were going to come in and take all the equipment. And somebody somehow thought of the way to resolve that was to essentially to lease a number of space at Jones Mills, Solid Waste Authority.
Okay,
In
that's my
exchange
question. So that's their trash, the company's trash or whatever.
It's
And
wood, it's not
wood.
trash.
Right,
Yes.
they're, whatever,
Wood
they're
waste.
leftover, and we grind it down and
Some of
then
it we
take it
don't
somewhere
grind.
else.
Yeah, a lot of it.
A lot of it, like the stuff that comes from Primeline,
Mhm.
we just load that. In fact, we have an auger and it just brings it directly over and drops it in the building. If you can see that one picture,
Mhm. And that building does not belong to us,
with 50 years, it sort of belongs to us.
and so you're,
Technically, 50-year lease, it's not 100%. If you get it for 100 years, they consider you actually own it. But, 50 years is another matter.
This should be Primeline's dust here.
The county should take care of that according to our lease. The county should take care of that floor, but they have no money, so it would be a real difficult battle to
So,
ever get the county to
we
pay a dime.
got into a lease where we had to take care of the repairs too.
No, it
No.
says they'll take
Okay.
care of it. But with the county not having any money, if you want to charge
Oh,
over
I
the
thought,
mass.
so this building belongs to the county?
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever been
Not
out there?
I've just driven by, no, I've not been out there, that's all I was
You need to go
saying.
out.
Yeah.
Visit with him and see what he
And look
does.
at it, yeah,
I'd love to.
so.
Would be a good time. I'll be happy to meet you out there sometime.
I've got something planned tomorrow, but just about any time after that, I don't work out. I mean, like a job.
I'll get your phone number, I'll go right out there
Yes, sir.
when I meet you.
But in my opinion, the whole thing out of Jones Mill is a very sordid affair. If anything, we, as an entity, Mitchell may have a different view. Solid Waste Authority didn't get, we really just helped the county out. I wasn't on the board then, but having looked at it since, and even this building, we got issues with the floor. It's plenty big space for us, but we had to put in the power and everything else. And now this floor is caving in, and and now we got another spot. And our best thing might be if we stay out there, because we don't do that. We've had one plan here to spend $1 billion to build another building, which I'm not very much in favor of. But maybe we can go over to what was called one of the carbon rooms.
Carbon room.
Yeah.
What was that room we were thinking about looking at? At Jones Mill.
It's 58.
58.
Yeah.
Didn't they burn carbon or make carbon there or something? That went
So,
Good.
how come,
What we're gonna do, work
how
out there,
come
did you? Anyway.
companies don't have to just take off, they don't have to
Well,
just
did
take
we-
off their own chat, their
We'll pay
own
a
stuff?
active yearly lease, or is this just a one-time
It's the
$600,000 and
That's
One time good
50
deal.
years?
Yeah, one time good deal, you might
That's
say.
that's what I'm
Bell
curious about.
County, yeah.
Why
Yes,
is it?
I heard the lawsuit, and all that.
See,
If I
good
could get a
faith,
copy of the
good
lawsuit.
faith deal, is what it was.
And part of it is, it's irritated me a little bit, is in the last year, we spent, I think, on tipping fees, somewhere between 20 and 30,000 to haul stuff off of essentially what was a dump out there. But the reason we got caught in that fine,
56,000.
56,000, well, I was going a little low.
Yeah.
But you know, and that was just tipping fees.
That was on the East Yard, yes.
That's only
Of all
tipping
of them.
fees, and that's not
That's
not the cost of our employees. Essentially, we had this yard, and because rainwater hits it and moves off in the creek, we got to take care of it.
Do you understand what tipping fees are?
I'm
I do
guessing
not.
that that's the weight that you're dumping.
That's what we had to
Yeah,
pay per
right.
ton when we
Yeah.
We
bought
go
it.
down, right.
That doesn't include our costs to run trucks over there and
Right,
pay
I
people.
understand.
Yeah.
So
So-
again, my question is, and I guess it's to the attorney, why, like, if I owned a business, how come I'm not in charge? How come I'm not responsible for my own, taking care of my own trash? Is it because do they pay fee back to us? How does it,
Why did we pick up the waste wood?
No, yeah, why aren't they responsible for taking care of their own?
Well, basically, the reason we take care of their waste wood, in my humble opinion, is we can make money off of it. In other words, when you.
So we're not responsible for
I
that.
think we are.
Well, another
But I'm
thing, the
wondering
other
why
thing
we-
too is responsible, and what we're really doing is we're removing, this is one of the biggest things we need to do in the waste stream. We're removing solid waste from the waste stream by selling it this way, and so the county is not ultimately responsible for every one of those tons. The landfills we've sold it to are now responsible for those because they've used it in their industrial products. So we've found a way to remove solid waste from the waste stream that ultimately us and our grandchildren are going to be responsible for out there at the landfill. You know, that now all waste, there is cradle to the grave manifesting, and simply because we put it there, in my opinion, it's not the end of it. Probably in our lifetimes it is, but our grandchildren will pay. And we've said, and I've said, we used to laugh at Honeywell about this. Today's landfills are tomorrow's Superfund sites. And somebody's going to pay to clean them up.
I appreciate you answering my questions.
As far as I know, we are responsible for these firms' waste and stuff. We are, I think we are required to take care of that, yes.
There is a lot of questions, and and I'm sort of at the point to where I would like us to get a legal opinion from our counsel or somebody
Yeah,
else.
because I did not see that. I
Was-
couldn't find that.
Yeah, was there not any kind of agreement drawn up with the county when solid waste moved into that area?
We mean that lease? Yes, there is an
And
agreement.
$600,000 exchange hands?
There is an agreement. Yes, I believe the people that drew it up was very negligent. One thing is they did not do a Class 1 environmental, and they didn't say that we weren't responsible for this prior stuff waste that's in there. That's very negligent on behalf of somebody. But nobody sitting at this table was there then, so there's nothing that we can say about it. Maybe
Nobody.
Raymond might have been on the QC, but I don't know. Were you on the QC then, Raymond? Nope. So none of us really, the agreement is there, and,
James might have been there.
but
No, James was. He'd been there for 30-something years. He was there.
and you're certainly, I would encourage you to get a copy of that lease from Chris and study it. I mean, you'll find out. I don't think there's a person sitting on this board that's happy with that lease and think that solid waste got all the value for the money that we spent. But however, at that point in time, if you remember the lawsuit, they were literally, it's like the Woods was knocking at the door of the county. They were going to sell the computers and all the vehicles and everything else. That's what the paper was saying.
Well, in the lawsuit, it was pretty clear cut, I thought, about what the law said about it and what the appeal was. But I guess I need to look at the deal when you get time and look it over. Because if there's a responsibility, I mean, it should have been put in there by one side or the other, that this is a responsibility, because you got a building out there, and I'm not even talking about the trash in the other lot over there. I'm talking about the building that you're utilizing that's having maintenance problems on it right now. I would think that way back when that was all drawn up, that there should have been some kind of stipulations in there that could be offer guidance on who's gonna go out there and jackhammer up that place in the floor and reinforce concrete.
It's pretty clear. The only thing is that, you know, you can talk to everybody else in the board and you can talk to council, but with the current funding in the county, I don't know. I would almost think, since legal costs so much, it almost would be throwing good money after bad.
Maybe, I mean, that's very possible. It could be.
I don't particularly care for it. You can look at it, but I don't know. We've talked over it a number of times, and did we ever send the county a letter with the status of what the floor is?
Did they not, some of our guys not go out there and meet with their guys and show them that floor at one time?
Not that end, I believe. We just looked at the new building on the other end of the county wanted to move to.
Okay,
wanted to move us
that's
to.
in the process of the move. Okay.
Where do we stand on that, Buddy? You and Josh, represent us and Josh up from the county on that move, possible move,
Well, we hadn't
relocation
been
out
at
there.
that one time.
Yeah, we were gonna go, and then it was gonna flood and rain, and so we didn't end up going out there, and we never rescheduled.
I went out there and looked at that building where we're talking about. It's probably a better place than where we are now, but it's gonna be a pretty good expense to move us over there.
That building does have quite a few leaks in it. I walked through it when there was good rain. Not at all. You can do that with the sawdust or not.
Well, I don't know what kind of equipment y'all use either. I mean, if you tore up the floor in that one building, you may tear up the floor in the next one too, if it's that heavy. It's not been designed for that.
I will tell you about the carbon building and talking with relatives that when they used to somehow burn this carbon or melt it or whatever they did with it, they called it the carbon room, they had pits. So that place has got pits in it.
Oh, we need to look that over.
And how well the pits are filled back in today, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just from talking to relatives who worked out there that was a carbon room, and somehow or the other they did pits, and I don't know if they burned or processed carbon in some way, and then they put it in the aluminum. I guess carbon was needed to maybe stiffen it up.
Didn't they use carbon rods and arc between them to melt the aluminum?
Maybe that's what
pots
it was.
work.
Yeah, and that's the way pots work. And then that room there is where they actually made and formed the carbon. They somehow processed it in there.
I don't know how they did. I just worked there 35 years.
They had to work in the pot room.
As long as they paid me, I didn't care how they made it.
Anything else on that? Would you like me to move on? I don't know if everybody's aware, but the Solid Waste Authority owns 2 acres at Donaldson that's next door to the Hot Spring County Water Association. And it's a piece of property that all we do is mow it. So I didn't know if anybody would be interested in possibly selling the property, or
Not used for that.
our maintenance man was out there attempting to mow it, and spoke with one of the guys that works the water works there, and they said showed some interest in buying it if we wanted to sell it. I don't know if that's a possibility, or if you'll just want to think about that.
I guess
Back.
question is, how much are we paying to mow each year?
Well, in the past, they have hired a tractor to go out there and bush hog it. Now the maintenance guy has been attempting to do it, and the back of it's really wet and swampy. And we either have to pay somebody to take a tractor. I believe when Mike Kaczynski was doing it, he was taking his own tractor. And,
Sell it. Can we sell it?
We would have to get it appraised.
But there's no sense in keeping it, is there, if we don't use it? Will we ever use it?
The intent was when they, I wasn't involved in this in any way, but when the Hot Spring County Water Association bought that land from International Paper Company or some timber company, and while they were in the deal, the Solid Waste Authority just bargained for a lot too there at that time with the intention of moving the headquarters there someday. Anyway, makeup of the board changed and whatever, and that went to the wayside, so it's been sitting there for at least, how long's that new building been there?
20 years.
15, 20 years. It has, it was cleared, leveled, 2 driveways there.
There's no drain fill stuff, though, right?
No what?
Drain fill, of course, no, there's sewer there now.
No, there's not. No. Public sewer is not available there.
Oh, okay.
Water is.
Is it in the city of Donaldson?
No, it's outside. It's city limits. It's.
So if we wanted to, we could just let it grow up? Either sell it or let it grow up or whatever. Well, I guess, as far as I'm concerned, if there's really no use for it, we might as well, as long as that appraisal process takes, we might as well start it, unless somebody wants to do otherwise. Unless we want to let it grow up.
I can't foresee us doing anything with the place myself. I just, it could be something don't know about come up, but
How far is it from the station there? Between Central and Donaldson?
it's about a mile and a half or something like that.
How far is this site from sewer?
From sewer,
Yeah.
Very short,
about a quarter of a mile.
that close.
And how far is the other side from sewer?
To Donaldson.
Yeah.
Add that quarter of a mile to the mile and a half.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Well, that probably wouldn't justify moving the station down there, so you didn't have to have the septic tanks anymore.
I move we get it appraised.
Yeah. Well, I second that motion.
Motion was made, the second is that we have the real estate at Donaldson appraised for possible sale.
For possible sale.
Any questions? Any questions? Call the roll, please.
Burnett,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Paredes, Wallace,
Yes.
Yerby.
Yes.
On the sale of the old grinder, as you know, it was vandalized. Todd, the serviceman, did get it running. Everything's back together. It's going good. We did receive a check from the insurance, $4,780.95. I had to turn that over to the county for them to reappropriate the funds back to us to pay for the parts that we've already put into it. Part of that does include some service charge to cover our service guy. I do have the bid notice ready. My question to you is, do you want me to have the bids ready to open at the next meeting, or do you want a special meeting to open bids?
Have you got someone that's wanting that thing now?
I do have one name that
Just
I was
one.
given.
Clinton.
His name is Scott Fox. I believe it's the Clinton.
Clinton.
Could be the city.
Clinton Town,
Could
they were
be.
down here looking at.
Yeah. I do have his name that Angela left for me to make sure that he gets the bid notice from the city council.
How long can we have the bids out?
That was my question to y'all. Did you want it to have a special meeting to open the bids, or do you want it to have, ready to open at the next meeting?
I guess I'm in favor of just the next meeting. Do
Yeah,
I see much more hurry?
We need to sell that thing as soon as we can, but before something else happens to it.
Well,
Well, anybody that wants,
Take it somewhat, don't you?
It's over, padlocked up. You ain't getting in.
I'd say, put your bid out, let it go for 2 weeks, see what you get back.
okay. And then open the bids at the next meeting. We need to open
motion on
that if we need it.
I make a motion that we advertise the old wood grinder in the newspapers, and that we have it out for at least 2 weeks, or whatever the judgment of the assistant administrator is, and that we open the bids at the next regular scheduled meeting.
Motion made and seconded that we advertise the tub grinder for sale for at least 2 weeks and have the bids ready for opening next meeting. Any questions?
If somebody does come down to look at that thing, Ed, can you started to run it, show them it works?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So,
Any questions? Call roll, please.
Burnett,
Yes.
Cannon,
yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Derby.
Yes.
Okay, on the uniforms, we're supposed to be buying out the uniforms that the employees already have and purchase uniforms from UniFirst Company for any new employees that we have. As of last week, we are still missing uniforms on about 3 employees. They have still sent the wrong uniforms on some, and I still do not have a contract on company letterhead. I did just called A&A Graphics here and got a price of the safety green t-shirts that like they had before. We can get a safety green t-shirt printed in one color for $6. We can get a printed in 2 colors for $7, or if you want the type that have the reflective stripes, they would be $18 for one color and $20 for a 2-color logo. Doesn't include names. But right now, we're looking at $305 to uniform an employee with shirts and pants from UniFirst Company. But I doubt if we'll do what we ordered. So I'll leave that entirely up to y'all if we want to wait until the next meeting. I was supposed to have had a contract emailed either Friday or Monday. Friday worked today. Since October.
When do you think the last contract ran out?
But the last we actually wrote a letter. Let me back up. A government contract only is for 1 year. The original contract that we signed supposedly said 5 years, but they said they can't hold us to anything over a year because we're government. And February the 14th, I believe, was when we wrote the letter that said we request to be let out of the contract. We are interested in buying out the uniforms if you want to sell those. And at that time, Mark Shire, the company, came down and met with us and said, I want to make sure everything's right, everybody has the proper uniforms. If anything's torn or buttons missing, I'll replace those. And now we've been since February 14th trying to get about 3 or 4 employees' uniforms replaced. We've had wrong colors sent, wrong sizes sent.
A lot of folks around that make those things.
Well, let me ask you this. Last year, I heard someone toss around the number 16,000. Is that what it costs?
When we originally did the contract on that, it was running about $11.50 a person a week for 26 employees. Did not know at the time that that contract was taken out, but what that included was everybody turning in their uniforms to be washed every week, and every person had 11 sets of uniforms. We could have been on they called it a value lease, where they just leased us the uniforms and the employees washed their own, and it would have been about $6 or $7 per person per week. At this time, he's agreed that if we continue with that, he'll give us government pricing, which will be less, but the employees weren't getting their uniforms back. They would come back torn. They would get the wrong uniform, and it has been a total hassle for
Well,
a year and a half now.
you think Dan could write him a letter and say we want this stuff straightened out?
We've been dealing with the company since October.
Tired of fooling with you?
And-
Do something.
Okay, fuel tank. On a good note, contacted ADEQ. If it's under 1,320 gallons, we do not have to have an ADEQ permit. He told me to get in contact with the State Fire Safety Board, with the state police. Contacted them. They sent me a form. All we had to do was fill that form out and draw a picture of where we wanted the fuel tank to be. Now it can be located at the satellite station, where there's already a fence and electrical, and a camera that is from the satellite station building shines directly on where this fuel tank will be. We got that drawn up, and we had to have the local fire marshal sign off. I sent that in one day last week, and we should hear back. I don't know exactly how long it'll take to get back, but Ligon does have a 1,000-gallon fuel tank waiting for us as soon as we hear. Our maintenance guy can wire it up. There's electrical right to it. So.
Great.
And on an even better note, fence row spraying. Contacted Dana McGinty with the Arkansas Plant Board about, we talked about the licensing for our maintenance guy. Since we are a municipality, and as long as we are only spraying our own property and not doing it for hire, we don't have to have anything as long as we use an over-the-counter product. We can't have a restricted product, but we can use any type of Roundup or any of the other. And I don't know if, I know they weren't aware, but the contract went up to $6,850 this year to spray the fence rows. And $1,900 of that was to spray the parking lot at the center. So
Good. You're saving money everywhere.
Primeline Electrical. Spending money now. We discussed last month about the auger that Primeline's putting in to move the dust further in the building. I had gotten a bid back from, I contacted Lock Electric, and he put us off for a couple of weeks. He was too busy. He didn't have time to go look, so I contacted GEI. They came back with a bid of $4,375 to put the wiring all in conduit. I contacted a local company here, Norman Cotton, and he came back with $4,200 all in conduit. And I said, the thing about this is a high price because this company, they're only going to be there about another 6 months or so, maybe more, 6 to 9 months. And he said, as long as it's temporary, you don't have to put it in conduit. We can put it up, attach it to the rafters because it's so high in the air. It's a number 10 wire breakers and 3-phase breakers, and I lost the bid. It's in there somewhere. And a shut off. What do you call that? What a shut off? A disconnect. And he can do that for $1,750. And then if we move to the other portion or whatever, we can pull all the wire back down and reuse it. We don't have to leave the wiring there in conduit. So
Save us money again.
I'm still spending a little bit. But that will be up to y'all if you want to vote. I know Primeline has been driving him nuts, wanting to know when we would find out something about getting the electrical hooked up. So.
I'll make a motion that we spend the bid of $1,750, not $17,000. I'm with Alexia, but anyway, $1,750 to hook up power from, was it Cotton?
Yes, C&E Electric.
C&E Electric.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded that we enter into contract with C&E Electric to install the wiring to hook up the auger prime. At a cost of $1,750. Any questions?
What happens if we run past the 6 months or so?
He said as long as it's considered temporary, I told him it may be up to 9 months. He said as long as it's considered a temporary electrical, and he's calling it a cord, an SO cord, if you know what an SO cord is. I'm not an electrician.
How soon is Prime Line going in?
I suspect the prime line will probably be out there. You check, you go by there a little bit. What's the dirt work like?
They're still on 30. I'll say it's gonna be February, March of next year before they get up and running.
I figured not to know anything about electrical. I figured as long as we're under 12 months,
We
we're
could,
okay.
that's what I thought, a year or so, we'd be fine. So yes, that's all.
Any further discussion?
Okay, I'm sorry to keep asking questions, okay, but, so we're putting in, just tell me what we're
Okay,
doing.
Primeline is a company that takes MDF board.
Yeah, I
They
know
s-
about that.
Okay, they send
Apparently there's a
in.
new place that you're going to.
Yes.
You're putting in
Uh-huh.
a temporary place and then you're going to move.
Essentially, they're the pot line over from us, one over out there at Jones Mills.
Right now, they're next door.
And they're gonna move
There's
to that
close that
place.
they can just put an auger and auger their dust from their building over
But
where
it-
we are now.
Mhm.
But they're gonna move eventually somewhere else. And this wiring is just for that auger, just to move that dust from where they are now.
What are they doing with the dust right now?
Ed
Right
can
now,
tell
there's a
you.
conveyor belt that puts it in, but it barely shoots into the side of the building. So it piles up right at the edge of the building. When they run over the weekend, it makes it pile back out into the courtyard. And our guys have been having to go up there and push it around to make more room for it. So this auger is going to attach to the end of the conveyor and move it further out into the middle of the building there. So there won't be any extra employee effort weekends or something like that.
So
No,
the employees doing this extra work is more than the cost of doing the new.
Yeah, right now, if you want to do the cost benefit analysis on it, is take the 1,700 and what do we sell for each ton?
14 is what most of it is.
Divide that by
I'm-
1,400, and to the extent that we don't have to have our people move, especially on the weekend, then it'll be safe. But Ed,
Sometimes
he
they
can
were-
certainly answer a lot better than me. But
that's what she was gonna ask you about the cost, the
Yeah.
employee cost to get.
Is
it
that,
done.
the employee moving it, how does that stack up to the $1,700 or whatever it's gonna cost to make a temporary,
Part,
if they're moving soon?
yeah, a lot of times they were having to go on Saturday and Sunday, and
So
overtime, and
that's
anytime
good.
they were getting to where they were making 2 trips some days, and anytime they make 1 trip, we have to pay them 2 hours overtime. So they would go in the morning, and then they would go back in the evening. That was another 2 hours overtime because it's on the weekends. Plus our guys, wasting their whole day to go move.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I just have one more. So the Prime Line place is not wherever everything's going. They're not in a good spot. So we're having to pick up for that.
Oh, they're in an ideal
Yeah.
spot. They're right next door to us.
Then why are they moving?
They're building a big
They're
facility.
building a new
They're
building.
expanding
One
their
that's on the
facility.
interstate.
well, if you go out to Jones Mills, what I would tell you, if you ever go out there, you probably will. You look around, the buildings they were industrial buildings that were probably last maintained in
Yeah, I know
75.
what we're talking about, yeah.
And so basically, he wants to expand, he wants to get a better space. He doesn't like the way the county's kept the roof up. Those are things I don't really know a whole lot about, but I know a little bit about. So he decided a long time ago he was going to expand. He wasn't going to expand at Jones Mills.
Okay. So basically, it's because of overtime, having to pay people to go out there and move this dust around, that we're going to do a temporary thing until, so they move, and then we're gonna do something else, kind of bigger
That's right.
scale.
The something else
That's
is
the-
Yeah, then they
We're
won't
going
even be
to-
close to us.
So you'll have
We'll
to
be
build
trucking.
something.
Yeah, we'll be trucking.
at the something else is when you look at your package, you see the
Mhm,
ordinance.
Mhm.
That's
That's
the something
the
else.
something else.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure I know what we're talking about.
Well, there's no problem. That you're all better off to ask as many questions as possible.
Okay, where we?
So you have to
I don't
take
Vote on
it.
it.
I'm sorry, I didn't get to it. I know, I'm
Any-
sorry,
any-
I'm gonna make a meeting last.
Any more discussion?
Give me that sheet. I've got mine shuffled.
Okay, Donna, so,
Yes. Burnett,
yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Paredes,
Abstain.
Wallace,
Yes.
Yerby.
Yes.
New employees, we did hire with the one bank that worked here before, and I've got a few applications up there. Haven't done anything on the second one yet.
Are you making ends meet pretty good?
Yeah, it's we have a lot of people working overtime to cover the stations because anytime somebody calls in sick or something, we have to pull somebody, and it's so tight the way the schedule is that to cover something additional is going to be overtime. So,
So you think that'll run for another 6 months to get someone trained?
we always have.
That's being optimistic, isn't it?
Well, we always have an e-center
Right.
that does not have to be a licensed employee,
Okay.
and that's 2 days a week of that time. So when we get an additional person, we can do that. What I've also been doing is Todd, that works service out there, he's been helping out and covering the Friday because there's not a whole lot of foot traffic out there, and he just stays out there and does his stuff. So it's his normal 8 hours plus 2 hours of overtime because he stays there till 5. So he's getting his stuff accomplished out there in the meantime. Recycling news, cardboard is at 105, metal 155, newsprint 65. District news, there is a district meeting tomorrow. I will call Margie first thing to remind her of the administrator position that's open. ADQ news, nothing except we've had some inspections, those were in your packets, and other than when I talked to the gentleman about the fuel tank. That's all I've heard from ADQ this morning.
You mentioned ADQ. Have you had any feedback or have any thoughts that we need to designate although I was looking some at the reg, a supervisor? Is it just okay to have a master's on the staff?
As I have read it, you only have to have a master licensed person on the schedule.
Right, okay.
Schedule for the hours that we're operating.
All right.
So
So you're making sure that we always have one available?
there's always one of our RC operators is always on at some point.
So now, like, just for my edification, like out on Sunday, we have Gifford.
That's the only exception would be Gifford on Sunday because there's only one person that works that day, and it's not necessarily a C person, but there is one within 100 miles that they could call. And of course, you know, we do have the trainer, the safety coordinator, 2 people that are both C licensed people, and they can be called at any time.
And ADQ hasn't mentioned anything. I mean, I'm sure that they must be aware of it in this process.
The inspector that we have is always very lenient on that, and he may put it in the report a couple of times. He's been there when there's been somebody that's had an A license instead of a B license. And, he understands. They said that was the main reason why they put changed the regulation to say that as long as there's one C operator in 100 miles because of us, because we have so many stations.
Okay.
You there?
I think so. Am I? Did I make a mention about there's an employee that wish to possibly change his title or give up a title. If we discuss an employee changing a title or giving up a title, it's open.
Because you're talking about reclassifying them, you may want to go into executive session, get a reclassifying employee, or if that's what your topic is on.
His thing was basically the question as to if we could or how that would affect his pay.
I think in that circumstance, you probably more conservative going to executive session.
Okay, we need to go into executive session to discuss personnel matter. Is that your motion?
We not having his report?
You want to have this report first?
I think you're about to go to executive session.
Okay. We gotta have a vote.
Yes, I believe so.
I move with what executive session.
I second that.
Motion to go into executive session. Call the roll.
Burnett,
Yes.
Cannon,
Yes.
Dodd,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Paredes,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Yerby,
Yes.